looks for the end zone. Touchdown!
And the left jab.
Makes the shot. Goal!
Access 7 Sports. For all of your local sports, tune to Access 7.
Well, John, how did this trade come about?
Well, just like any trade, I mean, I've been discussing these two guys more specifically than anybody else with a handful of teams for a good month or so. So this ended up being what we consider our best option to do.
Why did you decide now was the time to trade these two guys? Later or even earlier?
I think it's about the timing of it, just when things come together. Like I've been on both sides of trying to acquire people like early, like last year, like Kale earlier than we did, and I don't know when it wasn't at the deadline. And some go to the deadline, some don't. Like it's just a matter of when you want to act, and it takes two teams to act, and two teams that that meet each other's needs. So it's just a timing thing.
How difficult of a decision is it to trade players that have been in your system for so long, so talented?
Oh, hard, for sure, no question. But, you have to look at the big picture, and, this is the result of trying to, being the best team for 2 years in a row. And so when you are that, there obviously there has to be stuff recouped and stuff, and so that's just the nature of it. And there's really no other choice. We are already going to, I don't even call it suffering, because I think the experience last year and of being a good team, the best team for a couple of years, is worth so much in so many ways. But this is just the result of it, and now we have to get there again, and this is the start of it.
Well, how difficult is it to put together a blockbuster trade with so many parts?
Well, it's hard because you're negotiating back and forth, but they're always hard, to not necessarily hard, but it takes some bartering to do.
How did Nick and Jake take the news?
They knew it was going to come, so I think there's lots of emotion for the rest of the morning, and there was then for them and me, but I think it's just about a strange thing, but they're able to go to the same place, and that for sure helps. And they're going to a team that's going to try and win it, so they're excited about that.
What can you say about the contributions to Jake that Jake has had to the Pats over the last?
Well, for both of them, I think that Jake's done as good a job as anybody has, and this being the 5th year I've been here as captain of the team. I think every team has its own sort of different circumstances that a captain is involved in, and this is just different for us all. I'm not saying it's necessarily harder just because you're not having as much success, because if you're chosen to win it all at the start, and that captain has certain things that are different to deal with. But I think he's been a fantastic captain, and Nick is right behind him in the leadership thing, and to do what they've done on the ice this year. Hockey hasn't changed as much as, or any, like people say, like for sure the other team's coach is saying, you got to stop these two guys, and they're probably going to play their best defensive pair against them, because at least that's what we always try to do, and they still just went out and scored.
How difficult is it to replace that kind of leadership?
Well, you don't replace it, but that's what a team's about, and we're getting two guys in that are probably automatically our first and third leading scorer, or second and third leading scorer. So we're getting solid players in that have been around the league. So that's just part of the process, and we obviously just have to see how that works out.
What's this going to do for Lethbridge, John? They got a lot of teams in front of them. Do you expect to see them climb the standings with these two?
Well, I think that they're trying to win it all, so I don't think there's any question when you add the two best forwards that are available in the league that were available, maybe the only two, and at the top of the food chain, so to speak. I think right now Mr. Cousins and Mr. Bellarive are doing cartwheels.
Was it important for you to trade them at the same place, or it just happened that way?
No, it worked out. I'm glad it worked out that way. I think it usually doesn't. If you have a couple players, like I know Brandon split their guys last year and stuff, but for us, this was the best return was together, which is unique, but it's also really good for them.
How difficult was it to tell the room, tell the other players?
Well, they knew it was coming. I haven't spoken to the other players. I mean, only half of them will be down here because half of them are in school and stuff. So that's just the makeup of junior hockey. I think, we will speak to them as a group at some point. Dave will probably me too. It just depends. The new guys aren't going to be here till later, obviously later today, quite a bit later. So, but they've been sort of expecting it, I guess, really even more expecting it after Aaron's deal on Monday. So, the veteran guys like Liam and Brady, they knew last June 1st that this was going to happen at some point. It's just reality. The date is here.
About the two players you're getting back in this trade, what can you tell us about that?
Well, they're having good seasons. I saw them. Well, no, Jadon was suspended, but I saw Ty play on last Sunday. I'd gone to a game earlier this year to see them play. They're good, hard-working, solid players in the league, and they're going to get more opportunity to produce here than they did in Lethbridge.
Was it more about those players, or was it more about the future picks?
It's about the future, like for sure. But I think it's also important to, I think, standings aside, we've been a very respectable product on the ice. Dave's done a good job in that area. There's probably 2 or 3 games that, we don't feel that we worked or competed, but even at 24-1, I can tell you that Prince Albert and Mark Habishai would say there's 2 or 3 games that they didn't work and compete. So you don't have that kind of effort to your level every single night. But I think our guys have really worked and competed and bought in. So we need to maintain that, and we needed players that come in and have some sort of track record in the league to help achieve that.
How long had you been talking?
Were you happy with the return at all, or did you try to ask more from?
No, I wouldn't. We're really happy with the return.
How long had you been talking to Lethbridge about this?
Well, I think with a lot of teams, we didn't set a time. I didn't set a time frame to do the deal, but I let 6 or 7 or 8 teams know that expressed interest that when we're through the BC trip, that then we could start to look at it. And I probably thought because of history, it was going to go till January, but it didn't.
Did you get that many offers from each team? Did each team kind of present an offer?
Well, present an offer, talking some generalities about players. There was lots of teams interested because the level of these 2 players and how they were playing, and the fact that it's different than last year. Last year was so unique with teams going after players, but I think last year ended up being lots of players in the market. I can't think of anywhere where there's buyers where there's 2 players as good as this. So I think that helped us in our situation this year.
Can you compare it to trying to make a trade last year to this year?
Compare it how?
Like, how much more difficult or how much easier was it this year in comparison to last year, given the craziness at the deadline?
Yeah, like I guess being a seller in this year at this time in a way was somewhat easier to attract attention than fighting with about 7 or 8 other teams last year to be buyers. Yeah, I don't know. They were different. It doesn't really make either one any easier. So.